We need themers. Why do we need themers? Because that makes this Drupal project look beautiful. But before I really go into this, some of you might gonna be offended. I know that we have this DrupalCon that we need to apply on, so I'm just making sure that if anybody here really gets offended by a Dane, I will just say sorry right now, and that's it. I am from Denmark, so I mean, our upcoming queen did tell me to say hi to you. So from Mary with love, I would say hi, DrupalCon. I heard it was Dave's cousin. He has not yet come by to say hi to her, but I'm looking forward to that next time. Actually, another person I need to thank about this, and now I need your iPhones. Pick up your phone. You do know you have Twitter accounts, right? You have a Twitter account. See, this is Georgie. She heard that I was coming down here, or actually, I was thinking about coming down to DrupalCon, but I'm a poor one-man company. So she said, "Hey, Morten, well, you know, I will pay for you to come down." I'm like, what? Fair enough. So 10 Collective actually sponsored me to come to DrupalCon. So the only thing that she really wanted me to give is actually just say, "Hey, this is Georgie Carpenter's company," and she kind of sponsored me. So if you wanted to do this, take out your phone and send a little hi to 10 Collective, because I think it's pretty epic. Anyways, this also shows me that Melbourne apparently is able to pony up when it's about to anything. Well, it's about Sydney. Okay, this is me 20 years ago. This one? Okay. Here we go. This is me many years ago, when I was still a hopeful young man. That was before I came into Drupal. This is, by the way, this is my handle, my Twitter handle. So if you want to follow a place where we only talk about the truth and theming and metal and stuff that matters, this is the place to do it. I do come with a certain kind of love to this community. Somebody might call it angry. It's called passion from where I am. This is passion. I'm trying to pose myself as a really nice guy that has a lot of heart for people. It's not really true. I do run this one-man shop called Geek Royale, and we do handcrafted themes, which means we'd like to nerd your theme all the way down to each and every fucking class. Because I don't believe in the body class HTML. You have seen up your body field, right? You have this HTML class. What do we use that for? I don't know. But handcrafted themes. No. We have that for one reason, because we have a function that's called something about HTML that identifies itself as HTML, so that needs to be a class name. Thank you, Drupal, for putting even more crap into my stuff. This is what this session is actually about. But first of all, this is actually my whole name, Morten Birch Heide Jørgensen. Whoa.
Say that again.
Morten Birch Heide Jørgensen. That's your whole name. If you take only Birch, you will see there's a very close thing that could be a spelling error. And this is just how it is. So if you think I bitch and moan, no, I birch and moan, just to make sure about that. So this is my handle. Another thing that's more interesting actually about you guys. How many developers do we have in here? Oh, fuck. How many designers? Frontend? Oh, good. Ladies? Could we do that again? Ladies? Okay, gentlemen? Okay, well, the thing I hope for is like we have like at least one common awesome comment, right? Anyways, when we talk about the Drupal theme, this is kind of what we are, right? We have an idea that our clients really think what we do. This is actually what my dad thinks I do. This is, yeah, you know, we just download a free template, right? We just download that thing and it just works. Does this cope with what developers think of themers? Yeah, I can see it. I do think that we are protecting the markup. This is exactly what we do. We do Sherlock Holmes work every fucking day, because I just need to change that little thing. That little thingy in the theme that I cannot get to because some goddamn dev put something in as some function that I can, yeah, you and you. And the thing is that a themer is not a designer. Let's get that straight. A grid is not design, that's a tool. Design is something about with colors and stuff, what a theme does. I mean, I know that we do theming. I mean, isn't that the same thing that's calling developers modulars? Because that's what you do, right? You do a module. Anyways, what the theme does is translate design into code. We are actually taking all the beautiful markup, all the beautiful code that evil developers gives us, and turn that into this beautiful thing that arrogant designers gave us. That is what we do. We translate this. We're kind of the middleman. We make, so you have a beautiful designer, you have that thing that works. It's us who combines it. That makes actually the themers the heroes of Drupal. Just saying. But let's go back a little bit here to a little bit of Drupal history. We're back at DrupalCon in Brussels in 2006. This is me. I am still happy and hopeful. This is WebChick. She is also happy at this point. I still think that WebChick is still happy. You can see how happy I look. I'm still full of hope. Because, well, I looked at the theme system. I thought that will take me 6 months to fix that. You were in at the TWIG session, right? How many was in and listening to us talking about TWIG? What I thought would take 6 months have taken over 6 years. That's kind of show where we are in the Drupal thing. But the first thing I heard, not the first thing, but one of the things I heard here was 3 a.m. Friday morning at a bar in Brussels. A very drunk developer saying to me, I'm tired of the designers who's coming in and telling us that Drupal looks like shit. Well, I mean, I don't know why we would think it looks like shit. I have no idea, because this piece of utter beauty shows everything that's good, right? This is the top of design line. This was Drupal face. So that, of course, made it a little bit hard. So for front-end people or themers to come in and work, I was young, not as old. There's a reason I have gray in my hair today. Drupal's fault. So when we try to do stuff, we kind of came into this whole way of the Drupal world, that you have UX and themers and designers over here like normal human beings, right? And you have over here the land of Drupal, coders, hackers, sysadmins, like the developer thing. And in the middle here, we have the border, CVS, making sure that no non-geek could contribute to the project, because CVS is bad. That's just how it is. It's a horrible, horrible system. I actually hated it so much that I ended up writing haiku poems for it. That was the level of hate, because I could not contribute back to the Drupal community in any ways. Because CVS is basically, it's a foreign language for a front-end developer or a designer. It's not a way we work. It's kind of like speaking Swedish or speaking Danish. Så hvis jeg begynder at snakke til jer på dansk, sådan helt ud af boksen, og forventer, at I alle sammen forstår det, så giver det rigtig meget mening, ikke? Well, that was kind of how, should I translate that? What I said was, well, if you could understand Danish, which not as Swedish, Swedish is the foul version of Danish, Danish is the beautiful version. If you would understand that we basically had a language CVS that kept us away from being able to contribute back to Drupal, because it was impossible for us to work with. It happened that Git went to be good. We got Git instead. It's way easier for us to use. That's a good thing. It's still a bit hard for us. It's been that since 2010, 2011. We got it in. That's a good thing. It is still hard for front-end people to come in and help out because of the Swedish chef. Because we have to learn this new language. It's a barrier, we know, but it's at least got better over this year. Let's roll back again. PHP template. Since 2004, it has ruled the ways of Drupal. A developer I will not tell you the name of created this beautiful system many years ago. And it's a good thing. I mean, we have this idea of Drupal, that Drupal is like, you have data, and then you have that Drupal magic, and you have a theme engine, and then voila, we have a website. That's all good. So we got this piece of lovely thing, right? This is what we get to work with. Thank you, Drupal. Because apparently we had this idea of the the CSS kind of like the Zen garden idea. If you just modify, how many you remember CSS Zen garden? You just have a predefined markup and then you could do everything with it. That was how Drupal was thought at that point. Well, 10 years later, people began to bitch and moan a little bit about how this stuff was done, which was kind of understandable. We were locked down in the markup way. And the thing I actually learned was by going to the shooting range with WebChick in Denver. We were riding out there, and I, as usual, bitched and moaned about the theming layer, and WebChick looks at me and goes, well, you do know what, Morten? 6 years ago, nobody told us what to do. And I was like, well, nobody told any developer what to do. So is it really fair that we as themers bitch and moan over a theme layer? Well, I think it's completely fair that we do that, but let's be honest here, but at least we can try to push a little, try to help the developers just a little bit, just a little bit. So one thing I've always kind of worked around, like you don't get mad, you just get even. Fuck him. I'm gonna fuck this system so hard that I can do whatever with it that I want. And then they can come afterwards and complain, and then we can maybe find a solution. This kind of goes back to that Drupal have two problems, the CSS and the markup. That's the only two problems Drupal has. The CSS files, the problem around that is, well, there's a lot of them. We have Drupal core coming up with all kinds of CSS. We have modules coming with them. We have your own theme coming with them, and then, of course, we're packing the site. If anybody has ever thought about, we have these mobile devices that, you can go. What's the hot new thing we can do with mobile phones? Look at a website, right? That's hot shit. When you're standing out in the middle of nowhere, like in Sydney, and you try to go to a web page, and it has about 6,000 different CSS files. That's not good practice. That's not a thing we want to have. It actually makes me feel a little bit like this. I don't get happy about this. This is directly wrong in everything that we learned about how to do CSS. So there's different ways of getting this done. In the theme, we have an info file. The info file can do whatever the fuck it wants. That's because it's a 3,000-pound info file. The first way you can actually remove your CSS files is basically because when you begin to look at the CSS, it begins to be very clear that every module comes with this CSS file that, because I really need that red border around every div. Thank you, module, for that. So you can actually, if you begin to look into these things to figure out what do I actually need, you can begin to remove them. Apparently, I'm the, by popular choice, the man who's behind this technique. It was kind of a flaw we found in Drupal's way of using a theme info file. If you call an info file that does not exist, or rather, it do exist. So if you have the comment module have a comment CSS file that comes with the module, you can override that by calling it in your own theme, copy that file over, and put it down in your theme folder. All good. Now you can override it. If you forget to put that file into your theme, Drupal is dumb as fuck. So Drupal thinks, oh, it's down in the theme folder. There is no file in the theme folder. And Drupal goes, okay, well, fair enough. And it jumps further ahead. So you can actually begin to define all these files you do not want to see in your theme. Now you don't have to override them. You don't have to think about them. They're just gone. It is by popular choice called FOAD. Fuck off and die. That's how it's done. That's one way of doing it. That's the quick and dirty way of doing this. The more kind of nice way to do it, there's a module called Style Stripper that can also do this, where you have like an interface, you go click, 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 click. It just came out in the Drupal 7 version, so it's kind of worth to look at. If you want to go, the way I normally go is with the best theme ever in the world, the Mothership theme, which is basically, it's a theme that's based to clean up all the dumb shit Drupal does. Basically, it's removing divs, removing classes, removing everything that you do not need. And in here, there's also settings for kind of removing everything, kind of system messages, system menus, system themes, all kinds of good stuff. That's one way of doing it. Another thing is another way to remove this is also to, do you know about the whole bat name scheming? Bat, B-A-T. Okay, well, if you go into system folder, developers, look. This is development. If you look into the system folder, this is in Drupal core, so it is right. We have system.admin CSS, system.base CSS, and system.theme CSS. So when you do a module, if you have any class names you need to have in your administrator interface, you put that into module name.admin.css. Because now we in the front end can filter the CSS and remove all that crap you want to put into the admin. Beautiful, right? So we don't have to bring all that stuff around. The same thing with the base. If you have something that's actually important for the theme, like an Ajax class you need to do a block on or hide it, you put that into the base. And you have something that has anything to do with color or prettiness or niceness, you push that into theme.css. Pretty simple. We have base CSS for the important shit, admin for all the admin crap, and this is for all the pretty. You don't have to put pretty into your module because we know your limits. I mean, I am not so good with calculating, like 2 + 2 is something. I really don't care. I have a big calculator up here to help me out with that. Kind of another thing when we begin to, I will not run into this whole smacks thing, is if you as a developer really want to understand how those themers, those front-end people want to see CSS, that CSS is actually more than just adding a little bit of color. Take a jump over to smacks, smacks.com. It's a documentation standard for how to do CSS. When you have read that and you understand that, then you might begin to understand why CSS is a little bit more than just a little bit of color and a font sizing. We are, by the way, not sneaking this into Drupal 8. We are driving it directly through the fucking front door with lights and bells and fire and everything on. It's not a secret anymore. We kept it a secret. So these are kind of tools like clean up your CSS, and that kind of makes it nice. The problem is still that we have this. Divvities. And what is divvities? Well, this is divvities. Div class content, div class field, field name, body, field type, text with summary, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, div class field items, div class field item even, and now come content. What the fuck? Seriously. I don't need this. I don't need any of it. The problem about this is actually we make our websites bigger. We made them, the footprint simply gets bigger. It's harder to read. It's harder to write CSS. It's harder to justify. It's simply not efficient. To clean that up, of course, we have the mothership. The mothership will help you in this. The mothership does not make pretty. It's not its role. When you install it the first time, you'll go a little bit like, what? Why does it not do anything? Look at the markup, view source, and you will see it's beautiful. It's naked. There's no crap anymore. That's one way of doing it. The other way is actually, and now I will teach the front-end developers how to actually do sneaky shit. You can do theme functions. So if you have a field and you want to clean that out, do a theme function. So the whole idea is that, let's say we will call this no markup. I'm now calling it no markup because I'm trying to be a little more political correct. It used to be called the panty dropper. I learned that was not really okay. And it was more of an internal joke for myself, so I actually kind of laughed every time I had a field and said, field panty dropper. But to drop that whole bro code, bro talk crap, I know no markup actually makes more sense. So the idea here is that every time you have a field, you can define a new theme function for it. It's pretty theme _ no markup. Oh, now we have a theme function. What it does is, as you can see here, it does absolutely nothing. It just takes some kind of data thing out and renders it. It doesn't wrap it in anything. Oh my God, you're not wrapping your markup or your data into more divs. What should we do? How can you identify them? Oh no, oh no. Though you can see the fear over here in the developer's mind, like, oh my God, how can you even find it? Well, if you look at this whole no theme function, the whole idea is that when you have your node GPL, you go in and say, hey, give me the content, give me the field name, use this theme and call no markup. Then hide the motherfucker. So now if you do a print render on the content at some point, it will not be printed out. Beautiful, sweet, that's That's wonderful. So when you actually print this out, the field name, we now set the field name to print just the data and nothing else. Guess what you can do with this? In your Node.jpl, you can wrap it in that class that you need. If you want to put it into an article tag, you can do that. If you want to put it in a span tag instead, or let's say, a section, because that makes that's semantic correct to do that way, you can do that. You don't have to wrap it in fucking 3 divs every time just because maybe someday you have a need to hit that with your CSS, because that's not how we do this thing. If you want to read a little bit more into this, it's in the Drupal watchdog that actually you got in your welcome package. There's an article in there. It's called Angry Themer. It's about naked fields. And it's described this way much more than I'm going to do right now. Because there's other ways, of course, to do this. Another way around it, let me just get some water, is Display Suite. Display Suite is written by a wonderful Belgian developer who I've been haggling for years about this. The idea behind Display Suite is that we have the usual way of our display on a node, so you can go in there instead. And just that, instead of the usual way we had, you can adjust the order, because of course a website is always only one order down. So in Display Suite, what you can do really easy is you can go in, you can kind of define every element that you want to have and put that into the markup and define the CSS. You can actually do these things like a point and click interface. That can be very nice for your front-end devs who don't want to fiddle around with theme functions and crap. It's somebody likes this, somebody don't. I actually really like it. It makes my life easy just to crank out sites. You don't like? Why you not like? Why you hate me? Okay, developers don't like it. Well, fair enough. Another module does. Oh, no. If one dev speak out, that's how the rules are in this room. I'm sorry for that. Another module is called Fence that John Albin wrote that is kind of doing the same thing. It's just a way of taking a field and saying, how do I want to have this field displayed? But actually, one of the things I learned by actually doing a lot of talk around the whole Display Suite was that you can actually get developers and front-end devs or themers. Let's just call them themers, so you know who I'm talking. It's a front-end developer, front-end person. Is that politically correct? Front-end person? Front-end developer? But isn't that just also, let's just call them themers again. Yeah, okay, fair. Okay, good. Well, the thing is that what I've kind of figured out, like, at some point we maybe need to hug it out. Because what we have the designers. And it is a special kind of people. It is. I mean, I've worked with designers who found out that there was a heading that was 2 pixels too big, and set that as a bug that was critical. That makes your workday very long. And this is where all developers should thank the themers, because what is it that we really do? We keep the designers over here and you guys over there, and we protect you against their evilness and small kind of petty thing. What we hope we get from developers is just a little bit of support. Just a tiny bit of support, just a little bit of understanding, because we know that developers is a very special kind of people that can use days of talking about security and loads and unit tests and blah, 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 blah. I don't care. That is what they do, and that's all good. But if we get both of them to hug it out, that is actually where the themer wins. That's where we smile. Is there anything wrong with that picture? Okay. Because what is it that we do? We, as themers, we translate code into design. And we take the design and translate that into code. So the developers, because developers like things that works, right? That's kind of so, crap in, crap out, it works. It's fast, it's efficient, it just works. Designers like things that looks good. These two worlds cannot communicate with each other. It's like seeing drunken 16-year-old boys trying to like man up on each other. It's horrible. It is horrible. So that's where it's good we have the themers who understand both worlds, have more of a grown-up look at the world. We know what's needed to make the project to be a success. We will just, when the success comes and when, when the people rise up and say thank you, we will just walk down to the bar and cheer, do a little cheer to each other and be happy. We don't need the fame. We don't need that. Are you believe? Oh, so the thing in this Drupal community thing is how we have had a lot of ways to hope to getting these things to work somewhere, to get the developers and the designers to talk. It kind of works, or it had worked, kind of. Because the thing is that when it comes to this dude might have something to do with some panels things and some things like that. That other dude might have something to do with some theming things. I don't know. I'm not really sure. There's something about $20 and a bar and something. But the whole thing is here that we actually, the world deserves something that's better than what we have right now when we look at the theme layer. And that's when, this TWIG thing comes in. Any idea what TWIG is? Like, come up with your arm. Okay, who doesn't? Okay, so TWIG is the new hot-ass theming layer in Drupal. So some of these kind of unearthly techniques I showed you, like, oh, you can do this with a theme function, that, merge it around. We did not come into preprocess and all this other kind of shit because didn't want to fill your little head with too much information. The thing is that TWIG actually, this is all about the Drupal 8 epicness. And for the first time ever in the Drupal community's history, we actually have developers and themers talking with each other. I know it's completely crazy talk to have that kind of communication. I have had a good time for many years in my own little bunker in Copenhagen shouting at developers. It has been fun. It has been fun. I've had the opportunity to go through every little corner of Drupal to trying to figure out where that div came from, where that class came from, why life was so evil, why developers hated me personally. But at some point, that got to stop. And that kind of stopped the last year. We actually began to communicate with each other. And that for about a year, we had kind of been nudging around getting this TWIG in. TWIG is a new theming engine that basically makes everything better, period. So everything that is not logical today in the theme layer will, more or less, it will become, it's a modern theme system. Let's put it that way. I will not show you code for it. I would much rather show you this reaction. This is Jen LAMPTON. This was at Bad Camp. She looks happy, right? So at Bad Camp this year, that's 3 months ago, we had been pushing for getting TWIG into Drupal core. Do you know how much effort it takes to get new shit into core? Quick arm. How many does that know that? If I say it's the biggest pain in the ass ever to get anything in, okay, it's, I don't think there's words for how hard it is to get new shit into Drupal core because every fucking person, and we have 20,000 plus developers now, have an opinion upon it. And we will talk about the front end. Believe me, every fucking idiot in the world will communicate about it. Like, no, I don't think that. Well, I really like all these classes, blah, 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 blah. And it just, the thing is that when you have markup, that's kind of the really easy thing to talk about. So you do know what bike shedding is, right? It's everybody has an opinion upon it. So us who really know, me, gets tired. Well, there's a couple of others. Maybe a shit ton, but anyways, to get stuff into Drupal is a pain in the ass. And we have been pushing for it in about 7 months at this point. I'm sitting actually at Bad Camp. Here's actually how devious the developers are. Bad Camp, the morning for the first day of Bad Camp, I'm at the hotel. I'm sitting eating breakfast. And Dries comes over. Hey, can I sit down and eat breakfast? Yeah, of course you can, Dries. I mean, now I get 30 minutes with Dries, and I will hammer fucking TWIG down his throat. I will use any kind of... So I use the next 30 minutes to talk about how important TWIG is to the front-end community, how much easier life will be, how much better everything will be, how much cleaner the way we can build a front-end community that really can grab this and kiss it the right way, make it beautiful for everybody. And I go on for over 30 minutes, and Dries just eats his breakfast. Fair enough. And I walk down to the conference. I'm getting ready to actually give this session. And that session was at that point, you can see, this is not really angry. That session at that point was angry as fuck. It was kind of where like, okay, I need to tone down some of these slides because I was like, literally, every fucking developer in the world, fuck you. That was kind of the way I would start up, just to like make people wake up in the morning. So Dries has a keynote just before my session. Fair enough. I really know. I'm so old in this community, so I don't do keynotes because, I'm all that. I'm a rock star, right? God, this is not the time you should be silent. No, it's like, yes, Morten, you are. That should be the way, but no, you just, fuck you, Morten. I could see the looks for you. Anyways, we're almost at the end of the opening keynote, and Dries talks about traveling and shit, and I really don't care. I'm trying to figure out where my session is because evil developers moved my session. Again, trying to stop my righteous work to push this in. And then suddenly John Albin comes running over to me, Morten, you need to come in. Like, oh, okay, well, I walk back into the room and goes, holy fuck. So Dries is standing down with his laptop and is pushing TWIG into Drupal core. This is how the maintainer of TWIG looks when that shit happens. This is 8 months of utter happiness. So later that night, I get a hand of Dries at a bar. Like, dude, what the fuck? I mean, seriously, what the fuck? He just goes, well, if I've told you at that point, it wouldn't have been a surprise, would it? 6 fucking years I've used to push for a new and better theme engine. This has kind of been, I've hated the markup so bad. You have, or people who knows me know how much hatred there's been in my body. I've wanted to quit this fucking project so many times, more times than chicks want to quit it. Oh yeah. The only reason I kind of still kept on in this fucking community was because of that community thing. Like, fuck you, community. I want to have a decent markup to work with. 6 years. And what does Dries do? He just sits and listens to me bitch and fucking moan and just, it wouldn't have been a surprise. Jesus. But that kind of gets us back to this. But nobody told us what to do. Because, well, at this point, we have 5 or 8 people who are like trying to push this. And if nobody tells the developer what to do, how can they do it? If we as front-end developers don't tell these people who doesn't know better, because they don't, how should they know the beauty of the article tag? How should they know why a section is? It's, when you look at that, am I the only one who can get emotional at looking at markup? Oh, there's one other good. I just need a bro fist. I mean, if we don't tell other people what it is that we need or show them what we need, help them out, we cannot change shit. Apparently this TWIG thing is, what I figured out later on, is the most unholy alliance ever done in the world of Drupal. Why? Well, the thing about TWIG, it's a sandbox. So apparently we cannot do SQL errors in it or drop databases or all this kind of stuff. It's kind of a protected layer, which makes developers happy. Good. Now they are happy. The themers, we can get the markup we want. Now we are happy. Apparently TWIG provides that. I don't even know if it's the right choice. I really don't care. Because no matter what, it cannot be worse than what the shit we have today. So it's kind of an unholy alliance. But, and this is kind of where, when we're talking about, themers and designers and developers, kind of joining hands and like trying to make something better. And that is actually what we're doing in this Drupal community, right? We get an idea, we try to build up on it, try to build something new. There's actually now a chance to become immortal. Because this is the first time we have seen this. And we are a community that, what, 10 years old, 11 years old now? 2001, 12 years old. Holy shit. So in 12 years, we have not been able to get the 3 key persons to do a website. I'm not talking about DevOps here, because they just get stuff done. But the developers, the designers, and the themers, getting them in the same room and work together. That have taken us 11 years. Well, fair enough. But that actually means that we need to kind of build up top of this. That's why we have a TWIG sprint tomorrow. And let's say, why would I come to a TWIG sprint? Well, you did download Drupal, right? How many of here lives with Drupal? Like have a work that you do Drupal all day? Good. How many enjoys this community? 3, 4? A little bit more. And I know this maybe sounds a little bit strange, but I think we owe it back to Drupal. I owe it personally back to Drupal to actually make the product better. Because I cannot expect that somebody else comes in with a magic stick and do some magic and suddenly the project got better. If I don't want to make it better, I have a responsibility towards the project. If you are a front-end dev and you know this shit, you have a responsibility towards Drupal to make it better. I'm sorry for saying it, but that's just how it is. You downloaded the shit, you got the first drop for free, now the tax comes. That's how it is. So tomorrow we have a TWIG sprint.
Can you also plug the core mentoring sprint too for people who aren't ready for a TWIG sprint?
Yeah. So no, there's actually a couple of layers in it. This is the TWIG sprint from Munich. It was a 10 hours non-stop talking. I stood in front of that whiteboard and talked with every fucking developer in the room and fought till my last dying breath. We were about 50 people doing this. The whole thing is I did not write one single line of code all day, but we talked about principles. We talked about what it is that we want. We talked about how the markup should be, what should be done better. So a thing with a sprint, it's not only if you're like web check who can roll in and just throw around fucking patches all over and code, push, done, hooray! A sprint needs much more than that. We need people to actually look at the shit that we do. Is this even a good idea? I don't know. I figured out when I talked with John Albin was like the prominent themer on Drupal 7. And I've accused him at any given point I could get to, accused him of all the evilness in Drupal 7. Because that's how we do in the theming world. We are not pleasant people against each other. The problem is around Drupal 8 is apparently I've been like one of the bigger voices in it. So John Albin now says everything that goes wrong in Drupal 8 is my fault. That kind of sucks. I know I have a even bigger ego than my big body shows. The problem is I might not be right in every decision. We need a lot of eyes on the code. We need a lot of eyes on the ideas. So we actually need people who don't even know how to write PHP. Don't know how to write PHP. See, this is what TWIG does. You don't have to understand PHP. But if you know how to write markup, if you know how to write CSS, if you're a designer that have ideas to what it actually that you want, if you have all these things, we need you. We need you actually more now, more than ever, ever, ever. Because my mind is poisoned with this Drupal theming engine shit. You saw the picture of me back in 2006. I was happy. I was a positive young man who looked at life with great amount of joy. Now I'm a depressed old man that want to kick the shit out of somebody for fucking up my life for 6 years. Oh, I'm sorry for that. That's not how it is. So we need new eyes at the code. We need every fucking person that we can get in to work on this. So that's actually why the thing that we ended up doing in Munich for 10 hours was just talking principles. We did actually almost the same thing at Berkeley 3 months later. And now we're down here. We have a week to patch in some pretty big patches. But besides of that, we have a ton of small things that we need to get done. And the thing is about becoming a core developer, it's kind of scary. But you do know the expression about the code is good enough for production, but not good enough for GitHub? Oh yeah, there's a couple here who knows that. You push shit in because it's done. You don't want to show the world. When you suddenly release products and into Drupal core, that's scary shit. The good thing is that we have a lot of, the developers love to get new people in, because that means they don't have to, or they can just work on that little tiny thing they love. What is the thing you would wanted to work with?
Core mentoring?
Yeah, core mentoring. What is that? That is friendly developers that want to help out new people to come in and help. For the record, she is now shaking her head. Just to make sure that if people who did not see it, she is not meaning this, but let's pretend. Now, the thing is that we have a lot of devs who want to get more people in, because we have a very tiny amount of people who actually do core development. The thing is that we actually need you even if you have no idea how to create a patch, or no idea how to review a patch. But you have an idea of how you want your markup. You have an idea how CSS should be made. You have an idea of if this kind of logic makes sense. You have an idea of that kind of, I mean, this is what we're going to work with the next couple of years. And the thing is that if you have contributed to this, same thing we did when we did the whole voting thing around the Drupal Association. If you voted, you could bitch about the Drupal Association. If you didn't vote, too bad. How many voted? You are allowed to bitch. The rest of you, I'm sorry. That's how the rules were. Let me just see what I have for you in here. Here is a piece of candy. No, the thing is that we have, if you have put your heart and soul into this, just a tiny little piece of code, then you are allowed to bitch even more. The good thing in the Drupal community is that is what we do already. You actually can do it anyways. But by actually becoming a part of the project, it feels, I know this feels strange, but it feels pretty fucking good when you figure out that thing you put in Drupal 8, the contextual links. I did that. Only the CSS and the markup. I actually think it got changed again, but anyways. It's actually definitely going to be changed now when we're rolling in a new theming engine. The whole thing is that we need you no matter what. Because the success of Drupal is based on one thing and one thing only, and that's actually the strength of the community. That's just how it is. So actually one thing more I just want to put in here is, see, this is 3 years ago. This is my daughter. That's how she looks today. She ran my campaign, by the way, for the Drupal Association thing. Yes, I am a ruthless motherfucker. I use little kids to run my campaigns. I don't give a fuck. That's why I promoted this as the angry theming session, so you thought you would learn a lot about theming. No. This is a pitch to get you into the code sprint tomorrow. Do you feel cheated? Good. Anyways, a big thanks for the support I got from more or less the whole, actually even from Sydney around my daughter. This is a couple of this is my own project, the Mothership, which is if you really want to get into like cleaning up your markup and removing that headache, the Mothership is the whole idea behind this theme is rewriting everything Drupal puts out. That's what it does. It looks like shite, but the markup. I want to make out with it. That's how I feel with it. Smacks, if you do not understand why CSS is complicated, if you think that's just, we just give that to the kids over here who play with color. Go and read Smacks and understand how complicated this shit actually is. Style strip module, display suite. I should have put fences in here. I did not. I'm sorry for that, John. But the whole thing is that themers right now, how many of you were like themers? You. Right now, you have an obligation to step the fuck up tomorrow and come and help. I don't want to die alone when this shit does not work. Because the whole world will come after me. That was what John saw. He was like, Morten, what the fuck? You cannot go out and say it's my fault because then people pointed to him. If you're a developer who is tired of hearing your themer bitch and moan over the markup, come and help. And you know why you should come and help? Because then they will be happy each morning. It will be happy themer. Each morning you'll have that big ass smile of themer coming like, I'm going to work. And today we're gonna make it work on IE6 just for fun. That's the level of happiness this will bring. I'm not kidding. I have seen it. I am so much full of shit right now. Anyway, any questions?
Actually, I don't have a question. I would like to reiterate what you're talking about regarding the sprint. So there will be a TWIG sprint that you're talking about. If you are afraid that you're not ready to hang with the big kids, come to the core mentoring sprint. There's going to be a really great educational session in the morning that will help you get set up and ready to go and teach you a little bit more about Drupal core development and those kinds of things. And then we'll just kick your ass out and kick you down to Morton. And then he'll
Actually, the thing is, and now I'm saying thing that she will be, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm just selling this, getting them in. We just need people to actually come and participate, and actually just listening in. Because I've been at a code sprint since my second DrupalCon in Sunnyvale. I did not do anything, I was just hanging around. Mainly because I figured out if I was able to change this fucking theme system, I needed to be friends with the enemy, right? The developers. So there's a reason I always hang out in the bars and bought people beers. I don't like you. Fuck that shit.
I don't believe you. You like me.
Well, that's because, no, I don't. No.
This core mentoring, is that different to the workshop?
Yeah. So the thing is that what we really need is if we get, the problem is that as you know, John was practically the only themer that did on Drupal 7. Now we doubled the amount of people working on the theme layer in Drupal 8. We're now 2 people. If this shit runs on, 2 to 3% of the world's websites, and you let that up to me to decide the markup, are you insane? Jesus. No fucking way. Come and, we need help. That's the thing. And if you don't know anything, if you just want to hang out, that was actually what I did. I was just hanging out for years. Also because it's fun. You have this ton of nerds seeing 3 developers going nutcase over a function and beginning to discuss about it. That's fun. They get so angry at each other. Like, no, they cannot be. My function is way better than yours. Blah, 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 blah. In the theming community, we do it way more mature. You don't believe me? Come and see tomorrow. Yes?
I have a more direct question because I have Mothership and it's clean. I also love Zen for obvious reasons, snacks and so forth. Do you use Mothership all the time? Do you sometimes try SendGrid with Mothership and try that?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm actually using SendGrid now. So SendGrid, just to wrap it up, John Orban has this Send theme, which is based on his ideas of, he likes having class names all around. That's fine. That's one of the beauties about Drupal 7. He can get that, and people likes that. I like nothing. I like naked. That's just the thing I like. I will not be naked in front of you today, yet. No, we will not do that now. There is cameras here. So, what?
Do you want us to just send before the workshop? Do you want us to just send you?
I just want to have themers. Hoard them in. We want to have them in. No, so SendGrid is so John wrote this whole CSS preprocessor SAS thing. It's called SendGrid, and SendGrid is basically one of the problems we had with the. So if developers don't understand how frustrating CSS can be, I said that about math. I was not good at math. Safari, the Safari browser, is the dumbest piece of shit ever. I'm not kidding you. So if I have an element that's 10% white, and I have 10 of them, how much does that give? 100 it should give, right? It does not give that in Safari. It's 100 and something. Because it does sub-pixel rendering like a motherfucker. Because it adds, if you have padding and margin, it kind of cannot really figure out how to do it. If you do the straight up pixels, it works out. So John figured out a way to actually work around with this. The idea behind SendGrid, it's a very small and clean CSS grid system to build websites with. Yes, and I use it with the Mothership, by the way. It's because it's small, it's simple, it does exactly what it should do, and that's kind of the whole principle. My whole principle around the way that I think of theming and think of CSS is I have a design and I have an engine over here. I need to make those two work, but what I really need to make it work is in all of those browsers and mobile phones and all that stuff. So that's why I want to clean it all out and I want to build exactly what I know. Because if we look at the theming, in essence, the theming is the front end. This is the spearhead towards the front. It means it's called the front end, right? It's the front. And we have all this evilness coming in. Browsers, new browsers, old browsers, Lotus Notes, all kinds of crap is coming in trying to look at our pages. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We have no idea. We know there will come new browsers. We know there will come new things coming in. The way Drupal thinks is like 2 years ago, oh, I'm going to predefine all the markup for you because I know everything. Jesus, fuck. So that's kind of the problem. And that's why we want to make sure in the next version of Drupal that we have as little markup as possible and as much freedom to do what we need. So that's the whole idea. And by using SendGrid, it works perfect. Mainly because I'm brilliant, but besides that, it could also be just, it's because it gets the job done, and the Mothership just cleans shit out. I add the things I need, and that's kind of in my mind, a normal working way, but Drupal does another way. Any more questions? No more questions. Well then, I actually think we're up for time. 15:09. I have 6 minutes more. Yeah. Well, okay, now here's the magic. Are you a developer? Okay, let me tell you, you must not tell this to anybody. So responsiveness in theming, that's CSS. That's the only thing it is. It's about having CSS and making sure that that CSS responds to different sizing of the screens. So we have responsive themes in the Drupal world. It's really easy to make them themselves. If you look into like a system like SendGrid, when you first get into that mindset of thinking, it begins to be, in my mind, it's kind of almost dumb to download a responsive theme because it's so individual what the design needs and how it needs to work. So it doesn't really make sense. I know it sounds kind of strange. Let me actually show you this. Okay, let me see if I can find this project I've been working on. No, I know, but I know. I do this thing, I know that I'm like a total badass because I'm going to show you. Jesus, come here. Let me just. All right, let me just see if I can remember this. Oh, damn it. I'm using SAS because I'm a grown-up. The whole, there was a long discussion between if you want to use SAS or, Jesus Christ, what's the name? God damn it. Let me just see if I can. Fuck it. All right. So let me see here. It really want to download some fonts from the Google APIs. Why does you want to do that? All right, so let me just put this out here. This is a grid system that I wrote for a client. The whole idea behind this grid system is actually, if we go in and look at the markup, just to make it really quick, is that you have what we've done here in the, so, oh no, he's not using semantic class names. Oh no, who gives a fuck? I need to get this out of my body. This idea of semantic class naming being wrong because of something about screen readers, that's fucking bullshit. It's always been bullshit. You can use whatever name for your classes that you want to. If you have a grid system that makes sense, use that. What we've done here is we wrote a grid system based on the whole SendGrid. So what you do here is, oh, you have like an LR that says a layout row that's 12 wide, and you have a class in it. So if you walk down a little bit down towards it, see, when you talk about responsive, the whole section is around responsive is that, oh, you know, when you drag in it, you know, the different designs kind of changes. So that's kind of how it's thought. This is what responsive is. You have a bigger or smaller size, and it will work out. Actually, this one, let's see if that works. So the whole idea we built this on is actually just to have grid variations that moves with and around different sizings. And if you look at the CSS, let me just nerd out here. I am again between text editors. I don't know if I'm the only one who have this problem. And every time I think now I found the perfect text editor, it kind of ended again because something, and I'm a little bit anal about that. Oh, Jesus fuck, come on. Oh, damn it. All right. Come here, baby. All right. So this is one of the when we talk about responsiveness, what we do is we identify elements on a page, and then we say, oh, if you're this wide or that wide, do this or that. So this is a class that says if anything inside of this, LF is a layout flow. If you are layout flow -4, that means that if I have elements inside of this box, you should break after 4 elements and do that. All depends on the sizing of you. So what we can do is, this is SAS. It's go in and look at sendgrid.com, figuring out. But this is the magic right here. Median only screen and min width 601 pixels. That means that if you are minimum 601 pixels, use this CSS. That's the only thing that this whole responsive does.
What about using DNs versus pixels?
Actually, what you should use is rem. Yeah, rems. Oh, are we talking about font sizing or? Okay, well, the reason that so pixels is bad. The reason pixels is bad when you do, especially when you're resizing stuff, why we try to make everything as a percentage, is basically that we don't want to. Right now, we say we have an iPhone and an iPad, and oh fuck, the iPad Mini came in. Oh god damn it, Nexus 7 came out. Tomorrow another element comes out. So we could, a year ago, we could predefine. You know, an iPad was this size, a screen was that size. Well, in a couple of years, we're going to have refrigerators with fucking web browsers in. And we have no idea what's going to come in. So actually the thing is that we need to move away from pixels. And I hate this because I love pixels. It made sense. I mean, what the fuck? Back in the days, 960 pixels, right? Done. Set in stone. Nothing more. Then this dude comes out with that yellow little book and talk about responsive and blah, 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 blah. And now our lives are again completely mess. The reason that we don't want to use pixels is that we have no idea where the next breakpoint comes. The idea of having pixels for the breakpoints, because it needs to understand when am I going to break. by breaking is when I'm going to use this amount, this CSS, or that CSS, or that CSS to define my divs or my classes. So by having so by using percentage instead of pixels means that, oh, I am, if I have a definition that says between 300 and 600 pixels, you should be 50 and 50% wide. If I set that in pixel, then it would break if I came in between these. I want to be able to be as flexible as possible. So it doesn't matter if there's a new device coming out that's 400 pixel wide instead of 480 pixel wide, because it will just adjust to that. That's kind of the new way of thinking in design. It's a pain in the ass the first couple of months. But when you first get it into your head that everything is based that way, and if you begin to educate your designers, then life is going to be good. If you don't do that, then you're fucked. The reason that we want to use, actually not ems, but rem. Rem is relative ems. How many of you know what an em is? Have you ever had the fun of calculating ems through down a CSS file? That's fun, right? No, it's pain in the ass. The problem is that the way that if you have a font that's 10 ems big, it's going to be relative to the next and to the next to the next. So when you begin to nest stuff, it's going to be a pain in the ass. If you just build it in Drupal standard markup, then you're going to have nestings all the fuck over. Then it's going to be really pain in the ass. But rem is relative ems, which means that you set a base size of your em sizing, and now everything will follow that. So if you suddenly have a website or a screen size that's going to be like on the phone, on my phone here, I actually want to have a bigger size of the fonts. Instead of going through all the fonts all over and say this size, this size, this size, this size, you can actually just change it by changing your relative size. Another thing is around retina displays, the fonts actually follow that sizing as well. It's the shit. The problem is IE8, because of course IE7 have a retarded cousin. IE8, of course, does not understand this. You can do just a fallback on it. So you first define your rem, and then you define it in pixels, and just go, well, IE8, fuck you. That's the way to do it. So that way around. So no, my whole thing is that responsive is not magic. Responsive is actually pretty fucking easy. If you have a decent markup to work with, if you have a designer who understands this, then it's actually going to be quote-unquote easy. If you have a piece of shit, a bunch of developers who stabs you in the back and do not want to help you out, and thinks that CSS is just a little bit of coloring, you could just, can you put blue on this pretty little thing, Warden? Can you do that? Fuck you. No, I cannot, but I can make your fucking site that works good, looks so good that the client will kiss you. That's what I do, because I translate code into design and design into code. That's our job as themers. And if you're a themer, you have a responsibility towards us. The code sprint tomorrow. If you're a developer, come and hold my hand, because I'm scared of this Git thingy. And that's actually a problem that we have. I cannot just contribute without understanding Git and push and commit and issue numbers and code structuring and all that thing. I mean, it's another thing if it's markup. If it's markup, it needs to be done right. But that code thing, who gives a fuck, right?
We're talking about Git in the workshop.
Oh, yeah. So that workshop, actually, it's a good thing to just show up to them. And it's kind of fun. And you get a whole more day for free of DrupalCon. I can see like, sweet. All right. So with that said, and I've overgone my time limit.
I'll send you people.
I want to think that people trying to break in.
Yeah, lock them out.
No. So how many is going to come tomorrow to the code sprint?
I'm there.
2? Come on. It's going to be fun. We will not bite. It is actually fun, even just hang around and talking crap. And if you just want to sit down and code on something or just look at what people does, the first time is always the hardest, right? But we can pop the cherry in a gentle way. And that is what we're going to do tomorrow. What? Well, and with that said, thank you for coming. I think I used my speaking quota for this year.